the past 8 months, I've been zochet to get to know Adam in a different light. And a light that perhaps you didn't get to know him from the beginning, and maybe some of you did. But that was how I began to get to know him. Shlomo HaMelech writes in Kohelet, Et livkot ve'et lirkot. There's a time to cry, and there's a time to dance. And the question that's asked is, why are you going from such a crazy extreme, from dancing, right, from crying, all the way to dancing? And you couldn't find a different comparison, perhaps a little bit more neutral, not too extreme? I want to share with you what the Zohar says about a night like tonight. Zohar HaKadosh says that when a person goes up to Shamayim after he passes on to the next world, he goes up with a beautiful treasure, a little treasure box, a kufsa. He takes his treasure box and he comes in front of Borei Olam. He's in the Yeshiva Shel Mala, and he says, Abba, here, this is everything I did during my lifetime. Here it is. Open the treasure box. Says the Zohar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't open it. You know what he says? He says, I'm going to wait till they must feed you, till they eulogize you, for me to be able to open it. So the Gemara says a story about Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the great prince, the one who composed all of Torah Shebal Peh, that is. It says that towards the end of his life, he told his Talmidim, and I will quote you what the Gemara says, Achim alai be'espedai ve'hatam ka'imna, which is, warm them up, warm up the people who are going to be here. Why? Because I'm going to be there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says you have to wait till you get down and you join the kahal, listening, observing, seeing what they say about you. Once they're done speaking about you, then I'm going to open up the treasure box. So the first thing I want to say is not that I'm sure Adam is here. We know Adam is here. And there are very few times that a deceased actually joins us as close as he does tonight. Et lispod ve'et lirkod means the following, that at the time that we are eulogizing that person, in Shamayim, they begin to dance. They begin to dance because the tzaddik finally came up. You know, I was thinking about it today, that Adam really had 3 stages in his life. And again, I'm going to always revert back to his name. Adam, Moshe, and Chaim. The Chachamim tell us that a man has different names. He could be called an Enosh, he could be called Adam, he could be called Ish, but they're all different levels. Adam is in the middle. Enosh is the lowest. He was born Adam. But you know who he became? He became Moshe. Vayigdal ha'ish Moshe. And the man, Moshe, refers to Moshe as the Ish. Why? He didn't grow in size. He grew because he was able to be sensitive to the people who were slaves, while he wasn't. He grew up in the house of Paro. The Seforno in Parashat Shemot asks the question. He says, why is his name Moshe? His name should have been what? Mashui. Why? Because Batya found him, and what did she do? She stretched out her arm, and she pulled him, because I pulled him from the water. So they call him Mashui. He was pulled, not Moshe. What does Moshe mean? It says a sworn of something amazing. Moshe means that he is going to be the one who's going to be pulling people out, so to speak, of their troubles, of their water. And that's exactly what Adam Moshe has been doing the past 8 months. I was affected. Thousands of people were affected. One person came up to me on Shabbat and told me, this is the first time I'm keeping Shabbat in 2 years. Comes from a very religious background. He said, why? I don't know, Adam, but I do know one thing. If he's able to get so many people together to keep Shabbat, I want to be one of those people. That's what he told me. And this is just one person. I'm sure there's many, many more. But the third name is Chaim. I'm going to focus on that a little bit. You know, the Balatanya says, the first of the Admurim from Chabad, he writes something amazing. He says that a person who passes through so much suffering in his lifetime, I don't know what the degree is exactly, but a person who suffers in his lifetime can be in a position greater than the greatest Talmid Chacham of the generation. That's what he says. And I'm going to deduce something from that. That's talking about a person who just suffers. But a person who suffers and brings so many people back in so many different ways, we don't even know. We don't understand the magnitude. The stories that we hear is really perhaps, firsthand what we see. But it's like a galgal. It's like a never-ending wheel that constantly ends up affecting another person who affects another person. And perhaps his great-great-grandchildren as well at the same time. So how do I know Adam was a tzaddik? I think it's very simple. It says in this week's parasha, actually last week's parasha, which is Adam Moshe Chaim's parasha. It says in the pasuk in Moshe Rabbeinu, who almost reached the 50 levels of Yediyah and understanding everything in the world. It was the 49th level. There was one level he didn't understand. And that was exactly in the pasuk. That is one of the deepest pasukim. That he conveys the following to HaKadosh Baruch Hu because he feels the closest to him at this point. And he says, Har'eni na et kivodecha. Chachamim tell us, what does he mean by that? When he said, Har'eni na et kivodecha? Tell me, please, show me why the righteous suffer and the evil prosper. That was his question. You know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu's answer was? I'll tell you, I read it many, many times. Probably at least 100 times in my lifetime. But I read it differently today. Came to me a few hours ago. Vayomer, and he tells them back, Lo tuchal lir'ot et panai. You're not going to be able to see my face. So then that should be the end of the pasuk. Meaning, you're not going to know these things. These are things that were in this world in order to strengthen our emunah bitachon, because if we would understand, then what would be our free choice? We wouldn't have free choice. But the pasuk continues. And the pasuk says, Ki lo yir'ani ha'adam v'chai. Now, ki could be translated differently, a few different ways. Here, how we would generally understand it, Ki lo yir'ani ha'adam v'chai, because a person who's living cannot be able to see me. Ki, because. But ki can also mean, for example. Lo tuchal lirot et panai, Hashem says to him. You're not going to be able to see my face. Ki, and I'll give you an example. Lo yir'ani ha'adam v'chai. Adam is not going to be able to see me achai while he's still alive. I said over this story, a few of you may have heard it. But of course, we're going to be adding something a little more to the story. There was the name Nachshon Waxman should ring a bell to many of you. Nachshon Waxman was basically lynched by a group of Hamas members in October of 1994. And he was held captive for about 4 days. It was an ultimatum that Hamas gave to the Israeli government to basically let free 200 prisoners. And if not, that's going to be his fate. During those 4 days, Klal Yisrael, for a very long time, has never been together like they were during that time period. The ones who were against the Medina were with the ones who were pro the Medina. The ones who were irreligious were together with the ones who were religious. Everyone was together around the clock, Tehillim, Chesed, Torah, non-stop, unbelievable. It was a fascinating week to be able to watch and see how Klal Yisrael came to the level that they came to with unity. It was unbelievable. It was Erev Shabbat, I think it was, that the Israeli army obviously did not agree on letting out, the government did not agree on letting out the terrorists, and they attempted to save Nachshon. The problem was that the operation failed. Until today, it's not 100% sure how he was killed, whether it was through the Hamas or whether it was through the Israeli army. Truth is, it's irrelevant at this point. It's not here. But obviously, the multi-million-dollar question that was asked to Yehuda Waxman, his father, Shibadel Chaim Tovim, was, what's with all the tefillot? Why? How could that be? The whole world was together. All of Israel was together. You know what he said? He said, I asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu for a wife. And he said yes. And then I asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu for Parnasah. And he said yes. And then I asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu for children. And he said yes. He gave me 7 beautiful boys. And then I asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu back for Nachshon. He said no. But Daddy says no sometimes. At about 1 a.m. last night, I managed to get a hold of Esther Waxman, Nachshon's mother. Amazing, amazing woman. Wow. Unbelievable. I spent about 20 minutes with her on the phone for a number of reasons. Number one, I have a responsibility to speak up here. I have to understand a little bit about what someone is going through in that situation. I'm definitely not going to hound Robert at this point. But I did, and I finally got a hold of Esther. And I told her, your situation reminds me so much of what we are going through in Los Angeles 20 some odd years later, 3 years later. And she told me something, she told me a lot of things, which Zat Hashem will share with you. But there were 2 words that really resonated with me, and those were the only 2 Hebrew words that she said to me. But for the good part, I'm going to make you wait a second. There is a very clear correlation between Adam and Moshe. There is a few, by the way, but I'm going to go through one tonight. The Mizmor Shir Leyom HaShabbat that we read, according to one opinion, was really composed by none other than Adam HaRishon. And perhaps David took it and placed it inside his book of Tehillim. In the Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat, Adam HaRishon asked the exact same question that Moshe Rabbeinu asked in Adam's parasha, which is, Bifroach Rishayim Kemo Esed. How is it that the evildoers, they sprout like grass? Did he get an answer? No. He didn't get an answer. Neither did Adam HaRishon, and neither did Moshe Rabbeinu. But I'll tell you what, Esther Waxman did say something that really resonated. You see, the Chachamim tell us that tzaddikim b'mitatam nikraim chayim. That tzaddikim, when they're deceased, they're really still alive. But there were three parts. There are three parts to Adam, Moshe, Chayim. Adam and Moshe did not get their answer because it was down here on earth. And there is no answer. He didn't know the answer. Now, he most definitely does. But the third name that resonated very much with me is the name Chayim. And I asked her, I said, Esther, what can you tell me? How did you cope through this? She goes to me two words. Ubacharta b'chaim. You have to choose life. That's based on the pasuk. But I thought it was amazing how the word that came out of her mouth was Chaim, which is, stop focusing on Adam and Moshe. We'll never understand. We have to empathize. We have to cry. We have to feel for another Jew. Because everybody's mourning over here. But those are the two parts which we're never going to be able to understand. But what we can probably work at and do a good job is at the Chaim part. Is by keeping his legacy continuing to live. For everyone who took upon themselves different kabbalot, whether it was being more careful with Shabbat, Kashrut, Midah, whatever it may be, smiling to someone, just by emulating Adam, Moshe Chaim. It's a huge thing. You can change someone's life by smiling at them. I'm going to leave off with this. There was a great, great Jew called the Klausenberger Rebbe. The Klausenberger Rebbe lost everything in his lifetime. Everything. He lost his 11 children. He lost his wife. He lost his whole chassidut in World War II. He had nothing left. He walked out. He walked out literally empty from everything. What would have been the natural response to that? Right? If you go to Haifa today, Netanya rather, you'll notice one of the greatest achievements that they have in that town is Laniado Hospital. Laniado Hospital was opened up by the Klausenberger Rebbe. He started a new life. I don't know how many children he had. I think he had 8 or 9. But he started a new life. He picked himself up and he went on. But what was fascinating about it was a story that sticks with me. And that's when the U.S. Army came to liberate them from Moldar concentration camp. We spent about 9 months there. So they were all lined up to get into a truck and then head to Munich, Germany. From there, from the DP camp, they were going to be transferred wherever they were going, the U.S. And as he's waiting in line to get into the truck, he tells his friend, hold on a second, I have to go. He runs back to the concentration camp, and he comes back a few minutes later. The friend goes, where are you going? Where did you go? He goes, no, nothing. He goes, please tell me. He goes, it's not important. Come on, tell me. any idea how many tears I shed inside that concentration camp? The closest times in my life that I got to Borei Olam, that I got to God, was in that camp. I wanted to take advantage one more time so I could be in a familiar setting of where I was when I felt so close to God. And that's why I said I'm going to give it just one more minute over there of tefillah, and then he left. Rabotai, every single one of us, I'm sure, and many more of us, have felt a closeness to Borei Olam through whatever it was that we've decided to take upon ourselves while Adam was alive. But it doesn't end here. No. Shalom. It starts over here. Adam, Moshe, was in Olam Hazeh. Chaim is how we're going to keep his legacy going. It's never, ever going to fade.
Amen. Go ahead.